cut it out. Didn't anyone ever tell you it's rude to stare?
I know I already asked you this, but are you sure we haven't met somewhere before?
What's so hard to understand? I'm Renan, you're Danon. There's no way. Besides, I'm from Lenegis. Trust me, wherever you were before you lost your memory, we've never crossed paths.
Lenegis? You mean the same Lenegis that's up in the sky? I've heard it called the Renan's Castle, but I never imagined people actually lived up there.
Well then, where did you think we all lived? Didn't you see the Renan Lords descend for the crown contest?
And how long ago was that?
Well, the current contest started 7 years ago, so...
Then I wouldn't remember.
Just how far back do you remember?
About a year, give or take. That's how long ago Doc found me.
1 year. Then no. I'm sorry, but there really is no way we could have met.
Guess not. Hey, Shion, where does your gun come from?
What do you mean, where does it come from?
When you're fighting, it looks like it just appears out of nowhere.
Oh, that's transferal technology. When I don't need my weapon, I submerge it in empty space. And when I do, I summon it. Make sense?
Not really, but it sounds pretty amazing.
Huh?
Well, that way you don't have to carry around any heavy weapons or worry about enemies trying to steal them, right? It's a pretty cool invention.
You realize you're praising the technology of your enemies, right?
So, technology's technology. It's not good or bad in and of itself.
I guess that's true.
Try to be careful not to stand out too much. You're the only Renan around here, you know.
I know. I was just thinking about how communal it feels here, even though it's only supposed to be slave quarters.
Huh? Oh, yeah. When you put it like that, I guess it is different from heavily patrolled Mosgul. Were you expecting something more depressing?
It's likely a sign that Balsef doesn't think you guys can do anything to him.
What?
I mean, if Balsef thought the Crimson Crows actually posed a threat to him, you'd figure he'd be trying harder to suppress them.
You... No. You're probably right about that. All of the other Danons that aren't with the Crimson Crows accept the Renan's rule as simply a fact of life. From the day we're born, no, probably even before that, it's been drilled into us that the only purpose our lives have is to help select the next sovereign.
If they don't like the status quo, then they should fight it. Otherwise, they're endorsing it either way.
I see it differently, but that's just me. Speaking of Renans, do all of them think about things the way you do?
I won't deny that among my fellow Renans, power and status are everything. However, that isn't what this is about for me. I have something I need to do, and I'll do whatever it takes and use whoever and whatever I need in order to get the job done. To hell with power. I swear you can't walk 5 steps without tripping on a Zoogle. This is getting old.
Yeah? But wasn't it you Renans who brought the Zoogles here from Rena in the first place?
They're not just ordinary animals from Rena. Each of them has been modified to suit a particular purpose. In fact, some Zoogles were originally derived from the animals on Dana. Or so I've heard.
What? You Renans couldn't stop at just the people of this planet? You had to screw with our nature too?
You can get angry all you want, but we have bigger fish to fry. So, are you going to work with me or not?
I will. It's in both of our own interests. You said before that this probably used to be a supply depot, right? But Nay thought it was a Renan castle. I wonder what it actually is.
Who knows?
Who knows?
What, can't I not know something? You didn't think I knew every last thing about my own kind, did you?
I didn't say that.
From what I've heard, a lot of the materials that were initially brought over from Rena 300 years ago were repurposed for other things over time. So it's entirely possible that this place used to be both a supply depot and a lord's castle at different points in time. They're not mutually exclusive. I couldn't tell you when the lord's castle moved to its current location, though. Well, satisfied?
Yeah. Thank you. You know, for telling me about all that.
It's not like I mentioned anything that useful. Come on, let's keep moving.
I still can't believe this is happening. We're really about to face off against a Renan Lord.
Well, you're in pretty high spirits for a guy going into a life-and-death battle.
I'm not saying I'm not worried. But you have to remember, this is the first time any of us Danans have really had any hope. What about you? You scared at all?
I don't have time to be scared. This is only the first step in a long, long plan of mine.
You want to take down all 5 lords, right? It's hard to believe it'll ever happen.
But it will.
I know. I haven't forgotten our deal.
See that you don't. That said, if we lose, we might suffer a fate worse than death, you know.
That's probably true. But instead of worrying about it, wouldn't it be a better use of our time to figure out ways to avoid that and not lose?
I suppose.
Whatever happens, I'll put everything I have into winning. You can count on that. Where the hell is Balsef? If we don't hurry up and find him...
You're too close. Try to stay farther apart.
Oh, right. Sorry about that. Was I really that close?
I guess I'm just not used to standing right next to people.
You mean because of your thorns? You're a surprisingly nice person.
What?
You don't think so? I mean, you just made sure your thorns wouldn't...
You can keep your opinions to yourself. You don't know the first thing about me.
I'm not saying I know everything about you. Sheesh. No need to bite my head off.
You just can't take a hint, can you?
What? I'm sorry. You're right. I don't know what sorts of hardships you've been through. After all, what could I possibly know about pain?
I know you didn't mean anything bad by what you said. The throne room is up on the next floor. That's probably where we'll find Balsef.
Finally, it's time to face Balsef.
Speaking of Balsef, how much would you say you actually know about him?
What do you mean? He's just a lord that holds power over Calaglia, isn't he?
Just a lord? He is far more than that. Balsef Erwolzi Teldilis is one of the 5 lords that sit atop all of Renan society. Even without his Fire Master Corps, fighting him won't be easy. I've seen that man butcher who knows how many Zugals, just to blow off some steam. With sheer brawn like his, he can knock you out with one hit, and it's practically suicide to go up against him when he has a weapon.
Got it. Watch out for his attacks.
That's only the beginning. You can't expect to beat him by attrition. First, we dodge, then look for an opening. Remember that.
Sounds like our teamwork is really going to be put to the test.
Indeed. Don't screw this up and get us both killed. Having second thoughts?
No, I was just thinking about the blazing sword. Whenever I hold it, I feel wrong somehow.
Is relying on a sword from a Renan Master Corps that repulsive?
It's not about that. It's just... It's hard to explain. It's like the sword is almost too strong.
I don't know what's got you so worried, but in case you forgot, that sword is the only reason we have a fighting chance against a lord.
I know. You don't need to keep telling me.
Well, good. That said, the longer you use it, the more you get burned by it, too. We need to remember to patch you up quickly when that happens. A double-edged sword in every sense. Since you can't feel pain, you'll need to be careful, okay?
Are you actually worried about me?
Is that a problem? Look, I need you if I'm going to take out the Lords, and I can't have you dying on me before that happens. That's my only concern. That blazing sword's turned out to be even stronger than I expected. With that much sheer power, elemental types are hardly a concern anymore. You can bring practically any foe down to their knees in a flash.
Don't count on me being able to pull off another Gates of Fire. That only happened because I had the help of that spirit vessel monster too.
Still, you did defeat Balseph with it, which means it can also take down the other lords. That's enough for me. Besides, if it was any stronger, your body wouldn't be able to handle it. Have you forgotten what happened after we finished off Balseph?
No. But aren't you scared of having that much power inside of you? Even a little?
Why would I be? Power provides opportunity. You don't expect me to simply throw it away, do you?
No, I get it. It's a good ace to have up our sleeve, that's for sure. I'll make the most of it. Well, as much as I can without becoming charcoal.
Why am I here?
Would it kill you to be a little more friendly?
I don't see how that's necessary.
Look, for the time being at least, we're working together. You don't have to make this harder than it already is.
In case you've forgotten, the two of us may be working together, but the only reason we're even teamed up right now is because our interests happen to overlap. Otherwise, why in the world would I be working with a Danon slave like...
I am not a slave! I'm not a slave anymore. Not since I chose to fight. I've left that life behind, and I'm better for it. Understand? I'm sorry for yelling. But please, don't call me that ever again. Okay?
Okay.
I wonder what that girl's deal is. Never imagined anyone would ever come from outside the walls of Calaglia.
It's really not that big of a deal. There are more realms out there than just Calaglia, you know.
Maybe it sounds normal to you, but I've been behind those walls for as long as I can remember. Of course I knew there was more out there, but it sure didn't feel like it when unscalable walls are trapping you in.
I hate to burst your bubble, but the rest of Dana isn't much better. The world's full of lords who are just as bad as Balseph.
I know. That girl must have had her reasons for coming over to our territory. Even so, it's nice to see there really is life beyond the walls of Calaglia. It might not mean much to you, but that's reason enough for me to be happy. I'm always impressed how good of a shot you are, Xion.
What do you mean?
Just that all I'm good for is throwing myself at things with all my might. By comparison, your way is more... how do I put it? Precise.
It's not like I'm that good of a... Look, that's just how it is with guns. If you miss, it's a wasted bullet you can't get back.
Is that why you're always aiming to exploit enemies' weak spots?
I wouldn't say every shot is that deliberate, but that is part of it. For example, if I see a flying enemy, I'll often go for their wings. Also, if I see a jumping enemy without wings, I know they're an easy target because they can't get out of the way while in the air. In your case, I bet it's easier for you to deal with enemies that stay on the ground, right?
Definitely. Things that can fly circles around me are a real pain to deal with.
Exactly. It's important to keep your enemy's movements in check.
True. Although your shots have the added benefit of stunning enemies, so it's easier to swipe materials from them. It's really helped out.
It's nothing, really. As long as you keep doing your part when we fight, I'd say we're even. Is it hard leaving Calaglia behind?
No. Actually, it's kind of a relief to be away from there.
Really? What makes you say that?
Because it was getting to the point where every man, woman, and child would come up and talk to me like they knew me. I could barely find a moment to breathe, let alone relax.
Well, what you did was kind of a big deal, you know. You overthrew a Renin lord and burst open the gates of fire.
Yeah, but that was only because I had the blazing sword with me. We wouldn't have made it to Balsef without you and the Crimson Crows, Zephyr.
Maybe so. But you're still the one who took him out in the end. It's only natural for people to look up to those who protect them. You're a hero to those people.
I never asked to be one. I never asked to take the place of a lord in people's minds. I don't want it.
You're a strange one, Alphen. That's for sure. If that's how you really feel, then hold on to that. Listen to those thoughts when you feel lost and don't know what to do. If you can do that, you won't lose sight of who you are, or what the right path to take is.
The right path to take, huh? Hey, Zephyr. Why do you keep fighting?
What do you mean?
Until I met you and the Crimson Crows, all the Danans I ever knew just accepted their lot in life as slaves. Hell, even I was like that. But all of you in the Resistance are different. Even when you have no hope of winning, you keep on fighting. Why is that?
Come on, that's an easy one. I just refuse to live life as a slave, that's all.
Better to die fighting for freedom than to live as a slave, huh?
Let me ask you a question, Alphen. What does it mean to you to not be a slave any longer?
I guess it means living a life not being ruled by the Renins, right?
But what about the Danans who died standing up to the Renins? Are they still slaves? Would they be truly free if all they did was follow my orders and die without knowing what it was they were doing?
But that's...
Being a slave isn't just a position. It's also a state of mind. Don't become my slave, Alphen.
Do you think we'll really be able to wipe the Renins off the face of Dana?
Who said anything about doing that?
But we have to in order to survive. Don't we?
Now that you have the blazing sword, and have shown that we really can win this fight, do you really think we should go around killing every last Renin?
But what else are we supposed to do?
Say we go around killing Renins, so they don't kill us first. In turn, that'll just make more and more of them want to kill us. Where does it end once you enter such a vicious cycle?
Is that why you told Grenar not to kill any Renins without a good reason?
I'm not saying we should forgive and forget what they've done to us. But we can't let ourselves be dragged down by our own hatred either. Hatred comes in many forms. There's no one solution that will work in every situation. We have to keep searching for new ones if we're going to survive. It's a lifelong journey, finding the answers. That goes for you too. You have to come up with your own answers.
What is this place anyway? What's with these columns and steps?
No idea. I've never been here before either. Rena's convoy squads probably used it in the past.
I guess. It's definitely seen better days. But you wouldn't know anything, would you, Shion?
Nope. And I'm not interested in learning either.
Actually, these are Danan ruins. See? You can tell by the way the columns are decorated and stuff. They're all old Danan designs.
Are you saying these things were built more than 300 years ago, then?
Yeah. I have no idea what they were used for, though.
It's amazing to think our ancestors were capable of making such structures. Hopefully there'll come a time when us Danans will be able to walk through here freely again.
That's exactly what you're fighting for, isn't it? Let's keep moving.
Yeah. Right.
It's crazy to feel just how much the temperature has changed from crossing over a single peak.
Is it really that big of a difference?
Definitely. Calaglia was hot.
I can only tell from appearance, so... Achoo!
You might not be able to feel it, but it sure looks like your body responds to it just the same.
Seems like it. So if I sneeze, I guess that it's a sign that it's getting chilly.
They say that sneezing is often the first sign you're coming down with the cold, too. That's all the more reason you need to be careful with...
Achoo!
Was that also a sneeze?
I just bit my tongue, that's all.
No. It sounded a lot different from mine. But I could swear it was still...
It wasn't a sneeze, okay? Achoo!
Guess we both need to be careful out here in the cold.
Rinwell, don't go too far ahead. You never know where Zoogles might be lurking.
Oh, we'll be fine. We've been able to handle them up until now.
Still, better that you hang back a bit.
No way! I'm the one who asked you to come here in the first place, remember?
Yeah, but if we lose you, we won't know where to go. Besides, it's old guys like me who should be sticking their necks out first.
But...
We need you in order to get in contact with the Resistance in Cyslodia. So stick close until we find them, okay?
Okay. Thanks.
Now you've got me wondering. How'd you make it to Calaglia in the first place? I find it hard to imagine you didn't run into Zoogles along the way.
Are you good at hiding or something?
Yeah, that's it. I'm just really good at staying out of sight.
Wow. Still, you had to have been pretty lucky to have made it the whole way unscathed.
Lucky indeed. As if this place wasn't cold enough, it's also pitch black. I'm amazed anyone can live in this realm.
Seriously. Having all this snow everywhere makes it harder to walk or get anything done. And not having any light to see by makes the uneven terrain even more difficult.
Calaglia is no walk in the park either. It's dusty and there's rocks everywhere. And it's on fire all over the place.
Yeah, you're right. Now that you mention it, all those fires are a pretty weird phenomenon. They were always so annoying to navigate around.
Out here, fire's as important as water to our survival. So are the trees we use for firewood.
Is it that rare to see the sun here?
Not just rare. Until I went to Calaglia, I'd never seen sunlight before. I'd only heard about it. I couldn't believe just how hot and bright it seemed to be. But I guess in most realms, it's just a fact of life. They're used to it.
It's pretty interesting, isn't it? The way the sorts of things people take for granted change from one place to another.
Hey, so, about my magic.
You want to keep it a secret, right?
Yeah, sorry.
A little late for that after what happened in the village, don't you think?
Easy, Shion.
It's just... I didn't want Zephyr to die. That's why I used it.
I know. And we might have lost him without your help. So thank you, Rinwell.
Sure. Be careful. If anyone's even a little suspicious of us, they'll report us immediately.
Right. It's not just Snake Eyes we need to watch out for, but other Danans too. Still, there are a fair amount of people out on the streets. Isn't it safer to stay at home?
That's the thing. If you stay cooped up too long, people start to suspect you're hiding something. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
So people feel like they have no choice but to turn others in so they don't get in trouble. What a miserable way to live. At the very least, we should probably go someplace where there aren't so many... Ah, Shion!
We already stick out here like a sore thumb as it is. So I think it's better if we just walk confidently out in the open. Don't look anxious. Just walk firmly and look like you have a destination in mind.
What, is sticking to the plan too much of a hassle for her? This is why Renans are the worst.
I don't know if it's a Renan thing or not, but she does have a point. Anyway, we're not gonna get anywhere just standing around. Let's follow after her. Have you and Menek known each other for long, Rinwell?
No, not really. I haven't been with the Silver Swords for all that long, truth be told. He's a smart guy, but he's also deeply suspicious of other people. I can understand, since that's how you get to survive around here.
Really? I could tell he was wary of us at first, but he seemed to warm up to us pretty quickly once we talked to him.
Yeah, that's pretty unusual for him. I think that's a sign of how desperate things have become. In my case, it took a long time for him to start trusting me. But then again, I kinda get where he's coming from. You never know who might betray the group, or when the Snake Eyes might be watching.
What made you join up with the Silver Swords in the first place? This wasn't your hometown, so... Was it the Snake Eyes who...
No. It wasn't them. Actually, we shouldn't stand around talking. People will start to suspect us. Let's keep moving.
As if it wasn't weird enough getting into the city through that hole. Why are there so many passages like this around Cisloden? And it doesn't seem like the Snake Eyes use them to get around without being detected either.
Yeah, they don't look like ruins. Do you have any idea, Rinwell?
These passages are sewers. They're underground so the water doesn't freeze, but they're not really unusual in big cities like this one.
Really?
Is there nothing like these back in Calaglia?
Not as far as I know. In Calaglia, anything they wanted to get rid of, like waste or garbage, was simply burned. Including the bodies of dead slaves. I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe it was another way of getting astral energy out of them. Sorry, that took a dark turn, didn't it? Enemies who can cast astral arts can be pretty difficult. Not only are they powerful, but their range lets them strike us before we even get close.
Actually, I can just disrupt astral arts.
What do you mean?
When someone is casting an art, their focus has to be entirely on the incantation. So right when they're completing the casting, I just kinda steal it from them.
Really? Then what do you do with the energy you've stolen?
I hold on to it and use it whenever I want, like I can with my own magic. The thing is, I can only unleash that art once. After I use it, it's gone. Oh, also, when I steal astral energy, the enemy will lose focus, which means they can't cast anything else for a while.
So not only can you steal their energy, but doing so incapacitates them too? That's amazing, Rinwell. I didn't realize your magic could do so much.
It's actually something of a secret technique within my clan, so I kinda had to learn it.
Well, if we come across any tough enemies that use incantations, I'm sure that power of yours will come in real handy.
Yeah, it's tricky to pull off, but you can count on me.
That damn Ganabelt! I hate him!
I'm not seeing very many enemies around. What's going on?
They probably know we're not going to run away, and are waiting for us to show up.
Well, if it's a fight they want, I'll be more than happy to give them one.
They're probably inside the Revel prison tower in the plaza. That's where the Lord here lives.
The same building with the spirit vessel that's gathering all of the light, huh?
We need to be careful of how we go from here. The fact Ganabelt knew about my healing arts and had that poison ready tells me he's extremely dangerous.
He's not dangerous. He's just a rat bastard who's getting what's coming to him.
I'm telling you, don't underestimate him. We don't know what else he's got in store for us. One misstep on our part is all it's going to take to give him what he wants.
You're right. Dad, what were you trying to tell me there at the end? I guess it'll have to stay unspoken and unheard. Like all the other things we never got round to telling each other.
After all that, how can these people carry on like nothing happened? Didn't Zephyr's words reach anyone in that whole crowd?
The Snake Eyes could be anywhere. People are scared of being reported, so they can't do jack.
And speaking from experience, when you spend so much of your life as a slave, you stop even thinking of standing up and fighting. Calaglia had a lot of people like that.
Well, these people are in no position to demand anything anyway, when they've lost the will to fight and need others to protect them.
These people have had a hard enough time just keeping the fires lit. No one wants to sacrifice their life without good cause.
It is what it is. Once Ganabelt is out of the picture, things in Cislodia are sure to change.
Yeah, I hope so.
Hey, hold up a sec, guys.
What's up?
We need to talk about Ganabelt. This guy can control both light and lightning, and I've heard his swordsmanship is unrivaled.
I'm not surprised. He is one of the top lords, after all.
That's not all. He also has these weird little gadgets that he likes to use.
Gadgets? You mean like some kind of a Renin weapon?
Probably. He's got a bunch of these things that hover all around him. They're supposed to protect him from attacks coming in at any angle.
I take it there aren't any blind spots, then?
Nope. Which is why I plan to bust down his defenses from the front.
What? Why? Isn't that where his defense will be the toughest?
That's why it's worth attacking. Once I poke a hole in that bastard's defenses, the rest of you can tear it wide open and give him hell.
All right. We go with your plan, Law. Now let's get going. It's about time we got revenge for Zephyr.
I forgot to mention this before, but any enemies we go up against with real hard defenses, you just leave them to me.
Hard defenses? You mean like enemies with shields and things like that?
Shields, shells, armor, whatever. When you attack those kinds of enemies from the front, your blows mostly get blocked, right?
Sure. So you're saying you have a counter?
It's nothing fancy. Let's just say I have a knack for busting open tough, sturdy stuff. It's hard to explain, but I focus my energy and then hit a specific point with everything I've got. If I do it right, their defenses come crumbling down.
Really? But without astral arts, how could you possibly...
If he says he can do it, then he can do it. We can trust him.
Thanks, Alphen. Although, between you and me, right now there's nothing I want to bash in more than Ganabelt's stupid, smug face.
I think you'll get your chance soon enough, Law.
Are you still thinking about that armory with all the Danon equipment?
Yeah, especially that black armor. I don't think I've ever seen anything from Dana that looked so nice.
I can tell you that it was definitely Danon. It was made using techniques found only here. That's how I know. But ever since the Renins came, our civilization's been scrubbed out, bit by bit. Hardly anything's left now, which is why most people don't remember.
But why would the Renins have something like that? Unless it was the spoils of war. It must be a token of the Danons who fought and lost in the past. Or rather, that the Renins were able to beat them.
Armor that nice? Must have been worn by a commander of some sort. They might have even been a Danon hero.
A hero, huh? A fallen hero, maybe.
I hate to see all that stuff fall into Renan hands, but it's amazing to see that so much of it has survived.
You into this kind of stuff then, Rinwell?
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Are we done here? We don't want to keep Ganabelt waiting any longer.
Why did people dig this path so far underground?
Maybe it was too dangerous on the mountains for them to traverse over them.
So you're saying that before Dana was conquered, Danons made this so that they'd have a way to get through the mountains?
If I had to guess, they might have even lived inside of these once upon a time.
Not like there's any way of knowing now. Not after all our history was lost.
No, it wasn't lost. It was stolen from us by the Renans because they thought slaves didn't need it. And because keeping it around would have made it harder to control us.
It's not all gone. Look at that over there.
What is it? It looks like a broken piece from a dish or something.
Probably. It's true the Renans erased a lot of our history. But if we look hard enough, I think we'll find there's still plenty of it left. But first, we have to win the freedom to even look for it.
We'll win it all right. Then we'll reclaim our history.
What were you two talking about earlier?
Earlier? Oh, it was just serious guy talk. You know, the kind that girls don't get to hear.
Really?
Don't mind him, Rinwell. It's just... well, maybe it is a little difficult to talk about in front of women.
Difficult to talk about? Okay, now I really want to hear it. Unless... it's not the creepy sort of guy talk, right?
No! Okay, it's not creepy.
Okay. As long as you're fighting fit, you can talk about whatever you like.
Hey, did you make off with that armor while none of us were looking? Because I've gotta admit, you look pretty snazzy in it.
He didn't steal it, if that's what you mean. Bregan gave it to him as a parting gift.
Ah, right. Although it makes sense, I guess. It's like a symbol of rebellion in its own way.
Which is why it should have been your father wearing this, not me.
I don't know. I don't think he could have pulled it off like you, man.
I wonder what the last wearer of this armor was dreaming of for Cyslodia when they decided to rise up and fight.
Who knows? Anyone who could have answered that is long gone. Truth is always lost with the departed.
Are you saying there's no point in trying to understand why they gave up their lives?
No. Only that it's impossible to know for sure. Look, I can tell that you're concerned about Cyslodia's future. But we do have other things to take care of. You can't shoulder all of the world's problems, Alphen. If you try to, you'll only find yourself buried by the weight of it all.
Yeah, I know. My path is forward, and I'll do what I can. Here and now.
You were born in Calaglia, right, Law?
Oh yeah. It's scalding hot all the time there. So I was shocked when I learned Cyslodia is the exact opposite. Not to mention dark.
Not anymore, thankfully.
How did you even manage to cross the border between realms? All 5 realms are supposed to be closed off, due to the nature of the crown contest.
What? Is this an interrogation now?
I didn't mean it like that. I just figured if a Danon like you was able to slip between realms, it could come in handy later.
Ah, good thinking. I don't think I really did anything all that creative, though.
What? Don't tell me you climbed over the walls of fire.
Oh, hell no. Not even Zeugles could do something that crazy. Nah, I stowed away.
In what?
Oh, you'll like this. The realms don't maintain much contact with each other, but there are resources each is looking to trade for. So, there are cargo convoys from each of the lords that go around a few times a year to lend those resources to each other.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. That was the only time the gates of Calaglia would ever open up.
Right. Obviously, they don't let Danins ride with them, so I snuck on board inside some cargo instead.
So you were carried out of the realm? You did great not getting caught. Way to go.
Let's just say I've always had a knack for sneaking around since I was little. I was also really desperate to get the hell out of Calaglia at the time. I had more guts than brains that day. If I had to guess, I probably wasn't the first one to ever do something like that. Danin or Renin.
I wonder if that's how Ganabelt, was able to hear about what happened in Calaglia so quickly.
So in other words, we should always assume that the enemy is informed about whatever it is that we may be up to, wherever we go.
So if I remember right, there are 6 elements of astral energy, and darkness is only on Rena, and light can only be found on Dana, right?
Right. I only remember because my parents drilled it all into my head when I was little.
How did we find out about dark astral energy in the first place if it's not on Dana, though?
Beats me. I couldn't tell you how or when we figured out that sort of stuff. I'm sure there's other stuff we've forgotten along the way, too.
Yeah, I bet. And then we forget that knowledge was even forgotten at all, and it's back to square one.
Exactly. That's why we need to take good care of what knowledge and artifacts we still have left.
You really have a thing for old stuff, don't you?
Well, I don't know that I'd call it just a thing. It's also something that helps me feel connected to our world.
Connected?
It's nothing. Forget I even mentioned it. I should have guessed that there'd be no way he'd understand. How could he?
Everyone walking the streets looks so calm and happy. I guess it really is true they don't treat Danins as slaves here.
Did they actually somehow achieve equality here? And if they did, why? To what end?
Something here doesn't feel right. Even though they sure want to act like it does.
What is going through that Lord Dohalim's mind, I wonder? So, do any of you know anything about Lord Dohalim?
I think I remember hearing something back in Sislodan about how he fights using a rod.
A rod?
I don't know the details, but from what I gather, he swings a long rod around and uses it to stab and smack people from afar. I think there's also something he does with, like, trees or grass or something? I forget.
Grass?
Bear in mind that Elda harvests Earth astral energy. It would be no surprise for him to have some sort of control over plants.
So basically the point is we know nothing about the guy. Wish we weren't going in completely blind.
I just don't get it. The Danins have endured years of suffering. How could they just turn around and trust the Renins all of a sudden?
Yeah, I've been wondering the same thing. But I guess they must have a pretty good reason, right?
Like what? What could erase 300 years of pain and suffering?
Maybe it's precisely because they suffered for so long that they see Dohalim as something of a savior.
Hey, whose side are you on here, Alphen?
Relax, Rinwell. All I'm saying is that we shouldn't jump to assumptions about these people until we know more about the situation.
I just don't get it.
You okay? You made a weird sound.
Sorry. I was just thinking how amazing this view is.
What's the matter? Haven't you ever seen mountains and fields before?
Actually, now that I think about it, it's not every day we get to enjoy views like this.
You too?
Yeah. Calaglia has rocky landscapes, but the terrain here is completely different. Like, you see that mountain over there? Doesn't it look like a big wave that somebody turned into stone?
Right? And those ones look like the horns or claws of some giant monster. I'm surprised they managed to stay up.
Yeah. Just be thankful we don't have to pass under them.
Actually,
They won't come tumbling down that easily.
You sure about that?
Menancia harvests earth energy, which explains why the topography is so varied here. It's also why those rocks are bound to be sturdy.
So all that astral energy is also what makes this realm look so lush then? Does astral energy really have that much of an impact on the land?
Yeah. Is that why even that mountain looks the way that it does?
The stronger the energy is, the greater impact it has on lots of things. So yes, like a great big fire.
but these imbalances are too pronounced to be nature's work. It's not how Dana would otherwise naturally look.
If it's not natural, then you mean all of this is the Renans doing?
When you put it like that, even something as nice-looking as this starts to feel wrong. That Kisara woman. She sounded pretty smug about serving Dohalim, didn't she?
She still has a Renan for a boss. How is that any different from being a slave?
Renan society is a meritocracy. To us, it's seen as natural that those who sit at the top rule over the rest.
It's the same old wall as the rest of Dana at the end of the day, just with a different coat of paint.
I guess it can change people's attitudes if they can at least serve someone they respect.
But they're still being deceived. It's obvious that's what's happening.
On the one hand, her loyalty really did seem to be genuine. But on the other hand, Calaglia had its fair share of Danans who just accepted Renan rule because it was all they'd ever known. With that in mind, it can be hard to tell if her loyalty truly came about on its own, or if it's just the result of years of subjugation.
Who knows? It might clear some things up if we hear what Dohalim has to say.
Yeah, you're right. Let's make our way to the palace. So that was Lord Dohalim, huh? He sure is something. Definitely not like the other lords we've met up until now.
At first, he sounded like just some snobby royal, but he immediately shut down Shion's surprise attack. He's tougher than he looks.
Definitely. After all, he's a lord for a reason.
The food was pretty damn good, too.
Why are you two complimenting him? You just said it yourself, Alphen. He's a Renan lord.
Yeah, but he didn't act hostile towards us.
You're reading him wrong. He's acting indifferent. He's attempting to keep some distance between himself and everyone else. It's obvious.
What are we going to do then? Vicent seems to be legit peaceful. Are we just gonna do as he says and leave things be?
I'm not entirely sure. For now, I think it would be best for us to rest at the inn and think about our options.
So you're the blazing sword of Calaglia now, huh? Come to think of it, I remember Ganabelt calling you that too.
Yeah, you're getting to be pretty famous among the lords.
Yeah, and that's not a good thing either.
What do you mean? That's something you should be proud of, if anything, Alphen. They're scared of you, man. You're a real badass.
It's not as simple as that, Law. The more well-known he is, the more people might come after him.
No, that's not what I'm worried about.
It isn't?
When people call me that, it feels like there's something hanging over me that shouldn't be there. It's hard to put into words, but it's something that doesn't feel like a part of me. Something I can't let be a part of me. Or else.
Well, I still think it's pretty amazing, but that's just me.
So, that black cat, do you think it works for someone?
I'm sure it does. It wouldn't try to lead us around like that if somebody didn't train it to.
I wouldn't know. I've never had one myself. If I did, it'd probably try to eat poor Hootle.
I wonder who they are, though. I doubt this is Dohalim's work.
Yeah, he has no reason to do this. Although we can't rule out that it might be one of his lackeys either.
You think one of his subordinates is up to something?
That Dohalim guy is a pretty unusual character for a Renin, let alone for a lord. It's hard for me to imagine that they all agree with what he's doing. Maybe one of them plucked up the courage to go rogue.
Well, let's head further in. I'd like to figure out at least one of the mysteries of this place. I get that underground forests aren't exactly something you see every day, but I really could have done without any Zeugles running around.
You said it. I get the city up top surrounded by castle walls, but now I won't be able to sleep easy knowing they're lurking underneath.
You have nothing to fear. Zeugles work for the Renins. There might be strays out here, but the other Zeugles won't let them get close.
Using Zeugles to keep watch over their own kind, huh? That would explain why we're not seeing any guards.
Yeah, which makes it that much easier for someone to hide around here, too.
I know he said it's necessary, but are we sure Miguel's plan is a good idea?
I mean, just because we came expecting a fight doesn't mean we have to have one.
If Miguel is right about Dohalim, we may have no reason to fight. Dohalim may have found a way to build a future where Danins and Renins can live alongside each other in peace.
Yeah, I guess that may be true, but I'm still not sure about this. I just can't bring myself to trust a Renin. I really don't understand what's going through Miguel's head. And as for him and Kisara...
He said they were siblings, right? But things seem kinda awkward between them. I was an only child, so I never had to deal with that kind of stuff.
Is their situation really that different from ours?
I mean, I guess not, but...
The reality is that we don't know what's true and what isn't about Menancia yet. Until we know that for sure, let's not pass judgment one way or another, okay?
Yeah, okay. That's fair enough, I guess.
I noticed your shield just appears out of nowhere whenever you need to use it, just like Shion and her gun.
Does it use the same Renin transferal technology too? Don't you need astral energy in order to use that?
You do. Obviously, I can't cast arts myself, but I'm equipped with a device that has the necessary energy charged into it. As long as I'm using the device, I can call forth my shield whenever I like.
Equipment charged with astral energy isn't all that rare.
So basically, there's nothing special about Renin technology that prevents Danins from using it?
No. But as you might expect, normally they'd never be given any of it in the first place.
It's not as if just anybody gets to have it here. You need to earn Lord Dohalim's trust before you're allowed access to it.
What makes you so sure he's not bribing you?
Rinwell.
I'm just being honest. It's not normal.
I can understand why you'd be skeptical. However, Elda Menancia truly has transformed and evolved from the sort of realm it once was.
Yes, she's right. And that's exactly why
Miguel?
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll explain more once we arrive at our destination. This area right here is where the real Heart of Darkness used to lie in Menancia. It wasn't unusual for the holes we dug in this earth to become our graves, and for the stones we mined to serve as our tombstones.
That's right. I can remember it so clearly. I remember how the adults used to describe this place, like it was setting foot in the gaping maw of a monster. But anyway, that's all history now.
It is. All the bloodstains on the rocks, the still air, the constant stench of death. We're very lucky that it's all in the distant past. The smell of sweat and debris still hangs in the air, but at least now the Dahnans of Menancia can live with joy in their hearts. And it's you that we have to thank for this, Lord Dohalim. We would never have come so far if it wasn't for you.
Magal, why bring all of this up now? What exactly is the point?
I just wanted to remind us. I think it's important that we remember how precious the rights we enjoy under his lordship's grace truly are.
But I still don't get why...
You'll understand soon enough. For now, I simply want you to keep what I've said in mind as we continue our journey.
I didn't realize you held my strength in such high regard.
I meant what I said before. Anyone who tries to fight you will have a hard time of it. How long have you been wielding that enormous shield?
Ever since my first job as a guardsman. Our duty was to stop any attack dead in its tracks, then take all that momentum and turn it right around to smash the attacker.
But why bother blocking in the first place? Wouldn't it be better to just dodge the attack and hit back immediately?
Try doing that when you've got someone standing behind you that you need to protect. This shield is a symbol of our conviction as guardsmen. Every time we successfully block an attack, our fighting spirit only grows stronger.
So what you're saying is that, unlike Law, you can actually take a hit.
I'm right here!
We have to stop Sir Kelzelik.
Don't you think it's about time you dropped the sir?
He always treated us Dahnans with such warmth and kindness. Did he have such bad intentions all along? I just can't bring myself to believe it.
Forget about intentions. We should assume he's the one who's behind all these incidents. It's not surprising to me that there are Renans in Menancia who resent Dohalim, but I didn't expect one would be so close to him.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I guess all of us here in Menancia are still some way off from being a truly united realm, aren't we?
Are you going to be okay, Kisara?
I don't know, but I definitely don't want things to end like this. Please, lend me your strength.
Of course. Anyone who tries to oppress others is our enemy, and we'll gladly stand against them. Besides, I want to believe that this realm really can do better too. Kisara, do you have any idea just what Kelzelik might be planning at the palace?
It's hard to say. I've never seen him use any powerful arts, and I don't think he's particularly skilled with any weapons either. However, I have noticed him accompanied by something strange from time to time.
What kind of strange?
I don't know. I couldn't see anything with him, but I could sense something was there. Probably some sort of Zoogle.
An invisible Zoogle?
We'd better be careful in any case. I'd rather we not find out after it jumps us and tries to rip our throats out.
Where did Kisara run off to?
You don't think she took off after Kelzelik, do you?
No. Nagal entrusted her with his dream. She wouldn't do something reckless like that. Right now, I think she just needs time to think. What she does from here on out is up to her. She has to be the one to decide.
What was Kelzelik even after in the end?
Isn't it obvious? Clearly he wanted the throne for himself, and was gonna have his goons execute Dohalim to get it.
He had to have known he couldn't hope to defeat a lord. He should have run while he had the chance, instead of holding himself up in the palace.
Maybe he thought he couldn't run? Either way, the outcome's the same.
So he got desperate and decided to go for broke?
One might argue that he was another victim of mine, in a sense.
Huh?
There is no greater calling in life to a Renin than the crown contest, yet I refused to take part. The shock he felt at that must have been truly immense. Enough to drive him to revolt, even though doing so meant defying Renin hierarchy.
I know I've said this before, but Dahnans and Renins wouldn't coexist here if it wasn't for your stance.
But that was no lofty idealism on my part, nor do I feel any pride at what occurred.
Spare us the pity party. You literally just joined us to uphold those ideals.
Shion?
No, she is absolutely correct. I shall speak no more of my misgivings.
I've noticed that sometimes we come across enemies who fight like you, and try to dodge our attacks at the last second.
I hate those guys. I can get some hits in when they move into attack, but otherwise they slip past damn near everything else I throw at them.
If what you're seeking is a way to more reliably hit them, there is a solution.
Try to outclass them on reflexes?
I possess the ability to command Earth elemental beings to some extent. They emerge as the land itself and take root on my command. They will swiftly bind the enemies, at which point you can dispatch them.
Huh?
What he means is that he can make plants grow to hold the enemies in place. At least I think that's probably what he's saying.
I'm glad at least one of us understands him. So basically, if we find an enemy that likes to dodge, we should let Dohalim handle it.
I shall do what I can within my modest means to help.
This sure is one rugged road. You'd think they'd keep this at least a little better maintained, right?
Why spend energy fixing that which is rarely used? Repairs require time and effort, which in our world means slaves, often in great numbers. For you, it may be a simple request, but that can quickly become another's difficult burden. Nobody gains anything without someone expending effort.
And you know, somehow that someone always ends up being a Dahnan, while the Renins are the ones who gain.
True enough. Ideally, in a perfect world, I think it's only fair that the ones who need it should be the ones to perform the work.
However, when doing so could be dangerous like it is here, there are many who would prefer that it be others who risk their lives in their stead.
So, what you're saying is that people will just put up with the inconvenience until someone else comes along to fix it for them?
Indeed. And it is those who can no longer bear that feeling that inevitably take action. Much like the Dahnans in our group do so now. As strange as it may be to hear such a thing from the likes of myself.
It's true that most of the Dahnans in Calaglia have been resigned to just accepting things as they are. Still, we can't just blame them for...
What are you making that face for? You're not worn out already, are you?
Nah, just regretting I ever said anything in the first place. I'm amazed how easily you can move such a giant shield around like it's nothing.
Really? It's not actually as heavy as it looks.
It's really reassuring to have someone like you protecting us, though.
You know, I guess I never realized it before, but looking back, I've always been the sort to put myself in harm's way to protect those around me, even before I joined the Eldermenancia Guard. So, in a way, using this shield to keep you all safe feels like it's what I was meant to do.
You don't need to worry about protecting me. I don't plan on relying on you.
That's okay. It doesn't matter if you do or not. I don't protect people because they ask me to. I do it because I want to, and because I think it's the right thing to do. That goes for you too, Dohalim.
Me?
Yes. You see, you and I both want the same thing. We have the same goal. That means it's in my best interest to continue to protect and keep you safe as well. Even now.
I'm not sure how much protecting I'll need either, but I appreciate the thought. I'm sure you'll do us proud, Kisara.
Right. You can all count on me. I just noticed none of you other Danans have spirit cores. Why is that?
Both of my parents were part of the resistance in Calaglia. In fact, my birth was kept a secret from the Renans.
Mine too. We always lived in hiding, so I never had a spirit core embedded in me like I was supposed to.
What about you, Alphen? You were a slave in Calaglia before all this, weren't you?
To be completely honest, I'm not sure why I don't have one. All the other Danan slaves around me did. I was the only exception. They tended to keep their distance from me to avoid attracting any attention from the soldiers, because of my mask and all. What about you, Kisara? Do you still have your spirit core?
No. I was able to find a good Renan doctor who's sympathetic to our kind, and had them remove it before I left. They did such a great job, the procedure didn't even leave a scar.
One of the benefits of coexistence, huh?
I know that once the spirit vessel was shut down, there wasn't much need for me to hurry. But still, I didn't like having that mark of servitude lingering on me any longer than I had to. It may sound a little strange to hear me say this, but I'm just me now. Not a guardsman or a slave. I'm my own woman, and this is my chance to have a new beginning.
Hey, Rinwell. What was that whole legend you were talking about earlier, back when we were by the gate?
Huh? Oh, you mean about the Darkwings? It's an old story about a Danan hero that's been passed down for generations.
Like I said, I sure haven't heard it before.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, long ago, there was an evil king who tried to bring all of Dana to ruin. However, a pure black owl heard the pleas of the people and decided to help. It chose a young hero and bestowed upon them a holy flame that was capable of vanquishing the king. The story goes that the young hero challenged the king and defeated them with the flame. Seeing Dana had been saved, the people flew the crest of the Darkwings as thanks to the owl for its help. From what I understand, it used to be a really well-known story before the Renans came.
I guess our people must have forgotten it over time. It's lucky for us you still know it. You sure are well-versed in these sorts of things, Rinwell.
You know, the part where the hero defeats the king with a flame reminds me a little of Alphen.
Come on, it's just a story. Besides, if we're talking about an owl helping anyone, Hootle would definitely choose Rinwell.
Sure, I might have helped take out our own kind of evil king with the others, but I'm definitely no hero. That and Hootle's wings aren't even black. Huh.
All of these ruins look like they were made pretty recently.
But if that's the case, then where do you think the people that used to live here went off to? There must have been Danans and Renans, right?
That's a good question. Even if the Danans rebelled and managed to overthrow the Renans here, there should still be some people around.
This debris... Do you think it could be the work of Renan astral arts?
Perhaps, but the appearance of these ruins is rather uniform, which leads me to believe otherwise.
Hey, Rinwell. That story you told us about the Dark Wings, it said that the evil king was vanquished with a holy flame, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Then there might be some truth to that old story after all. It looks like all the rubble here had been scarred by flames.
Let's not jump to any conclusions just yet. If we can find someone around here, we might be able to get them to tell us what happened.
I get the feeling Deadeye's signed up to be a rebel, so he could have a roost to rule. Heck, he's no better than a lord. In some ways, he's even worse.
I know. How could he use explosives on his own people?
And yet, despite the toll of his actions, none of the Danans we've seen seem to question his assumed authority in the least. If anything, they may well consider him a hero, which would say a great deal toward how deeply they resented the Renans here.
Still, I don't think this is as simple as saying the good guys won out over the bad ones.
Yeah, I don't either. Deadeye might have managed to drive the Renans out of Niaz, but that doesn't make the way he did it okay. No matter which way you look at it.
A victory that's earned by throwing away the lives of his own people? No, that isn't a victory at all. I can understand that the Danans here are standing up against their oppression, but that doesn't mean they have to humiliate all Renans just to settle the score.
I'm perfectly able to stand up for myself, Alphen. Besides, I'm used to it by...
But you shouldn't have to be, Shion. It's just... What I mean to say is... When you've been a slave for so long, it's easy to accept that's how it should be because it's all you've ever known. Constantly being belittled is no different. I don't think that's fair. For me or for you.
The city is liberated, and yet the air still hums with fear and anxiety. It reminds me all too well of how Vicente once was.
Hums? You mean like music?
Yeah, none of this sounds like music to my ears. In fact, I've never seen any Danans with musical instruments in my life.
You don't need instruments to play music. It can emerge naturally from the sounds of people going about their day and the hustle and bustle of life.
You seem to care a lot about music, Dohalim. I didn't know that about you.
Have I not mentioned it? Before I was a candidate for the lordship, I had my heart set on the life of a musician.
You? A musician?
Indeed. Music enriches the world around us. I trained day and night to hone my art. Words could not describe my bliss, as my notes carried with them the sights and sounds of nature, the ebb and flow of time, and the thoughts of people on the wind.
Dohalim.
Forgive me. My loquaciousness can get the best of me at times.
Don't apologize. It's interesting hearing what Renan culture is like.
Even though the Renans destroyed all of our arts and culture.
Personally, I was interested in the music of Dana as well. The fact that generations of lords deemed music to be of no use to their slaves and outright forbade the ownership of instruments is lamentable. Not that my words can undo the damage already done.
What is that ring of rocks over there for? They don't look like they formed naturally to me.
Oh yeah. Funny, I guess I've gotten used to weird rock formations. They didn't even register as being out of the ordinary.
Most likely, they were brought over by us Renans when we first invaded the planet.
Wait, those? So does that mean there's some kind of machine then? And if so, what in the world were they even used for?
To manipulate the properties of Dana's astral energy.
Really?
Think about it. Isn't it strange that the type of energy each realm collects is so fixed? Astral energy by nature isn't meant to skew towards one element or another so heavily.
So the Renans reformed it for the crown contest.
Sounds like the crazy thing a Renan would do.
Renans these days are more advanced than Danans in some ways, but even they don't seem capable of doing something on that grand a scale. Or is that something that's possible on Lenegis? Or maybe the Renan homeworld?
I can't claim to know everything about my own kind, but I myself have never seen anything that would be capable of such a drastic feat.
But at some point they did just that. Those are the sort of people we're up against. We should do our best not to forget that.
Alphen, your blazing sword draws its power from Shion's Fire Master core, right?
So I'm told.
Then why don't you use yours, Dohalim?
You mean my Earth Master core, yes?
Yeah, I mean, you still carry it around with you, don't you?
I do. Each Master Core contains the astral energy harvested from Danan's slaves over the course of the last 3 centuries. Though only a select few qualified people, namely the Lords, can wield them, they nevertheless hold too much power to simply abandon.
If only the Lords are supposed to be able to use them, how come Alphen and Shion can use theirs?
That may be because Shion has embedded the Fire Master Core within her body, something which wouldn't have occurred under normal circumstances.
Okay, but why do you still carry yours around?
Just as Danans see Master Cores as symbols of the lives and resources robbed from them, so too do I view mine as a symbol of our lasting sins. The pain and agony wrought upon this world by my predecessors, as well as the injustice enabled by my own inaction, are all housed within my Master Core. It is a testament of all that I have done wrong. It cannot ever be used again, nor fall back into the wrong hands.
Dohalim.
You didn't differentiate between the deaths of Danans and the deaths of Renans.
Danans and Renans both spill blood and languish in agony all the same. I just couldn't bear to hear it any longer. That's all.
A little late for that.
I just don't know, man.
Don't know what?
Deadeye managed to drive out a real live Renan Lord. That's incredible. And he seems to have a lot of supporters surrounding him, too. But he's got an attitude worse than any angry Zoogle. Plus, Niaz is in utter ruins. I don't have a clue what his game is.
The Renans are powerful. And because of that, it takes a strong leader to have any hope of toppling them. However, when you take down one dictator only to replace them with another, ultimately it's just business as usual.
If it'd been Zephyr instead of Deadeye, I don't think things would have turned out like this.
Rinwell.
Yeah, I think so too. Zephyr did things differently top to bottom. He's not the kind of person who would have forced his own views or decisions on other people. When you do that, you're ruling over others, not leading them.
To be honest, I don't know what I would have wanted my dad to do if he was in that position.
Law.
The whole thing feels weird in a way. It's a weird kind of feeling, but at the same time, part of me also feels happy. Deadeye and my dad are two very different men. For now, I'm content knowing that.
The winds outside the capital are blowing as strongly as ever.
You can definitely see why people call this place the Valley of the Four Winds.
Indeed, Mahag Sar is the realm of wind, just as Ganeth Heros is for water.
Earth, water, fire, wind, light, and darkness. Rena is aligned to darkness, leaving each realm one element each.
Is that because some elements are easier to gather in certain areas than others?
That is certainly possible, but I suspect the biggest reason is to prevent the Lords from squabbling over resources.
Funny. You would think infighting would come naturally to an elite class vying for a crown.
True, but the Renans rule as a minority. Fighting ourselves would just be destructive. Though, as you saw in Menancia, any abstention from fighting is merely a facade.
In the end, you all get usurped whether you like it or not.
That may be true, but something tells me that this time is different.
We have to catch up to the Lord first if we want answers. Let's keep moving. For the hideout of a runaway lord, this place is a lot bigger than I was expecting.
Do you think she had it built with that in mind?
No. Personally, I think this used to be part of a Danan castle or fortress of some sort.
How can you tell?
For one thing, it doesn't look like a storehouse. For another, it's old, and you can tell it was built to let people hole up inside of it.
Huh. I'll take your word for it. I don't know the first thing about brick. You know, I've always thought you were a smart little cookie, but damn, Rinwell, you really know your stuff.
It's no big deal. I've just read a lot of books is all.
If this is meant to be a castle, there wasn't much to it above ground. Are there such things as underground castles?
There probably used to be more of it above ground. That is, until 300 years ago.
So the main structure must have been lost during the time of the invasion, with only the underground part remaining. And then this lord decided to use it for her own purposes. Have I got that right?
But what reason could she have for using this place instead of staying back in her own castle?
That's what we're here to find out. Whatever it is, she's up to no good.
Right. It's all the more reason we need to hurry up and find her before it's too late.
By all appearances, it would seem she was researching something here.
You think so? What kind of research could she have been doing in a place like this?
Your guess is as good as mine. Hardly anything the likes of us could imagine.
If we assume it was because this area is rich in astral energy, then it's possible she could have been doing any number of things.
Indeed. Renin castles and spirit vessels are often found in such locations. Intriguingly, Dahnan ruins are also known for their abundant energy.
You Renans attacked us. Don't act like you're just some...
Sheesh, enough already! This isn't the place to pick a fight over this.
How can you be so calm listening to all of this? You suffered at the hands of guys like him too.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm calm.
I can't believe this. To think they would give us a bad lead like that. Where could that lord actually be?
Beats me. That said, there's no point wandering around aimlessly trying to look for her. We should head back to Nias for now.
What's wrong, Kisara?
Oh, I was just thinking about what it meant for there to be castles here on Dana. People build castles to protect things that are important for one reason or another. But not simply that. They're also used to project a ruler's power.
So what you're saying is, even before the Renans invaded, the Dahnans were still being ruled over. It was just by other Dahnans.
That's most likely the case, yeah. Though who knows how they led their people.
But after seeing Deadeye, I can't picture them being all that benevolent themselves.
What if it's in everyone's nature to rule over and control others? What are we supposed to do about that?
If it really is in our nature, then no. All that means is we have all the more reason to fight it. That's all there is to it.
I still can't believe what that Almeidria did. Not only that, but she was enjoying it.
It's patently clear she has no respect for human life whatsoever.
We need to take her out. I don't think I've ever felt so enraged at another person in my whole life.
Yeah! There's no way she's getting away with this!
Then we head for the underground docks. We need to hurry. Rinwell, can you keep moving?
Yeah. My family and I, we spent all of our days just living in hiding. Until one day when we were found and attacked. I was the only one my dad and the others hid. That's the reason I survived. While the rest of my family was butchered. The only thing that I could see was the crest of a lord glowing through the smoke. And then...
It was Almeidria who did it. I'm sorry, Rinwell.
That woman, Did she really find the existence of Dahnan mages to be that much of a threat?
Enough to invade another lord's territory? No, I doubt that. Most likely, she was after their knowledge and techniques. She only did it so she could become stronger. That's the kind of woman she is.
In retrospect, I do remember her making it sound like she created that monster she summoned.
A monster. I wonder, do you all think of me as a monster? Because I'm able to use magic even though I'm Dahnan?
Rinwell.
Of course we don't think you're a monster, you dummy. I might have had to hold you back, but it's her fault any of this ever happened, not yours. Got it? Now that's what I call a ship!
Yeah. The biggest one in all of Mahag-Sar. So big that it took years to construct.
For all we know, Kelzelik may well have been smuggling materials to help build it. In which case it would be yet another mistake on my part.
We don't know that she was only getting materials from Menancia.
You think it's possible that they might have come from elsewhere too? Yeah, I guess I could see it.
But what do you think Almadria plans to do from here on out, now that she's abandoned her realm and sailed out to sea?
She'll be filling her coffers with gold, most likely. Then she'll sit back and enjoy the show as the other lords duke it out. Or something to that effect, at least.
I wouldn't put it past her.
She's strong, yet shrewd, and will stoop to any low. A dangerous one indeed.
She's not the first, and she won't be the last. This is a lord we're talking about, remember?
Sounds like you've made up your mind already.
There was never anything to decide. No one who can smile like that while doing what she did deserves to roam free.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
This might not be the best time, but if you have a minute... That mask of yours, it was shattered by a blow from Balsev when you fought back in Calaglia, correct?
Yeah, thanks for the reminder. I thought I was a goner.
Balsev's brute strength was in a league all its own, yet half the mask remains. It's remarkably durable. Too durable to be Dahnan in origin.
Shion said the same thing. As if the fact I was wearing it meant there had to be more to me than met the eye.
You recalled your name when the mask broke, I hear.
Yeah, that's right. Although to tell you the truth, I'm a little scared what might happen when I lose the remaining half. And again, the idea of not doing something because I'm afraid scares me even more. That's why I go on fighting.
Only he who first faces the night catches a glimpse of the dawn.
Come again?
It's nothing. Forget I said anything.
If Almadria's not in her own room, just where the hell is she?
It's possible she may be on the bridge, but I would guess that she's waiting for us elsewhere on the ship.
Which means she's most likely chosen a place where she'll have the advantage in a fight.
Be careful, guys. I came from an entire family of Dahnan mages, and that woman murdered all of them. All on her own. I hate to say it, but she's an incredibly powerful astral artist.
We already know she specializes in controlling wind astral energy. But on top of that, she might try to sick that monster on us again, too.
Right. To that woman, life itself is just a toy for her to play with. Let's make sure we put an end to it. By the way, how is Mahavar doing? Wait. Don't tell me we still haven't found him.
It's not like we haven't been looking. I've covered the whole length and breadth of the coast, but...
All of the other crew members are accounted for, including us. But we weren't able to find Mahavar. He's still missing.
I see.
Perhaps he couldn't bring himself to abandon the ship.
You mean at the bottom of the ocean? Damn it.
We don't know that it sank. We all washed up on the same shore. If the ship went down, isn't it strange we haven't come across a single piece of debris?
Do you think he might still be alive somewhere out there?
I think stranger things have happened. Whether he's alive or otherwise, we've exhausted all the avenues available to us. All we can do now is press on ahead.
Fine. Let's get going.
Something's on your mind. You having second thoughts about rescuing Shion?
Of course not. Shion's our friend. Almeidrea was the one I hated. For as long as I can remember, she served as a symbol to me of everything Renin. But ever since getting to know Shion, I realized it doesn't make sense to group people together like that. Every individual is different.
I see.
Besides, the situation with Almeidrea was something else entirely. I'd already decided I wasn't going to kill her, but when I saw her die right in front of me, a part of me thought it served her right, that she'd gotten what she deserved. But another part regretted that someone else had come along and killed her instead. Don't get me wrong. If I had the chance again, I still wouldn't kill her. But it's not like I'll be shedding any tears now that she's gone. It's all so confusing. I don't know how to make sense of any of it.
Who said it had to make sense?
Huh?
Rinwell, you've done nothing wrong. You've started to question the beliefs you've held all your life. It's only natural for you to feel disoriented. You didn't give in to the hatred you felt for Almeidrea. You made a choice not to kill her. And that's significant, whether you realize it or not. As for what it means exactly, that might be worth taking some time to figure out on your own.
Some time.
Or don't, if you don't want to. It's just an idea. I'm still searching too, remember?
No, I think you're right. It can't hurt to keep searching after all. And hey, thanks, Kisara.
Thistlein was founded by Danans fleeing the tyranny of Renin lords, right? But when you first came, they must have known Dohalim was Renin. So why do you think they let us in?
They almost didn't. But it wasn't just Dohalim they were wary of. They didn't trust any of us.
Even the weird Danans just like them?
When you live life in constant fear of being pursued, it's only a matter of time before all outsiders start to seem a potential threat.
I suppose that makes sense. So how did you convince them to trust us?
You saw how destitute the village was. They needed food, badly. We hunted some Zeugles for them. That seemed to do the trick.
Of course, a little magic-assisted roast didn't hurt things.
Never underestimate a full stomach's ability to put a person at ease. It turns out a hearty meal can be a powerful weapon.
It feels like I'm melting.
Calaglia was pretty hot, but at least the air there was dry. Out here, it feels like I'm trying to walk through thick soup.
I can hardly breathe, it's so stuffy. And don't get me started on the insects. You hanging in there, Hootle?
It's brutal, all right. I can feel my energy being drained away just by walking. All this vegetation makes it hard to keep an eye out. Keep your wits about you, everyone. And watch you don't keel over while you're at it.
What's needed at times like these is a relaxing hot spring. That would soon help us adjust.
And where do you expect us to find one of those?
What about you, Alphen? All that gear, and you hardly seem to be breaking a sweat.
Yeah, I guess when you've lived a life devoid of pain for as long as I have, even feeling hot and bothered can be a welcome change.
Well, lucky you, I guess. Just don't expect us to carry you when you pass out.
Is it just me, or does Rinwell suddenly seem much more comfortable around Dohalim than she used to?
I noticed that too. When the two of them came and found me together back on the beach, I could hardly believe my eyes.
It's not like we had a choice or anything. Law and Kisara had to hang back to convince the villagers we meant them no harm. More than that, though, there are a lot of things I've still got to come to terms with regarding Almeidrea. But I guess I'm through making snap judgments based on someone's origin. At least, I'm trying to be. I guess you could say it's a work in progress.
I see. You hear that, Law? Sounds like all that hard effort wasn't for nothing.
Yeah.
That's got to be reassuring to hear. Right, Dohalim?
Not being subjected to unwarranted suspicion is certainly welcome.
Yeah, that long-winded way you have of talking, though? Not so much a fan of that.
I think that's more of a personality thing than a Renin trait.
Really? In that case, I won't have to feel guilty getting annoyed by it. How are we still not there yet? It feels like we've been climbing this mountain forever.
It helps if you try not to look up or down. All you need is silent determination. Talking too much will only waste energy and burn you out.
I'm too tired to look up or down, even if I wanted to.
Take care you don't fall, at least. Unless you want to make a Zoogel's day, that is.
Zoogles? Why would they care if I fell or not?
How would you feel if a 3-course meal fell right out of the sky at your feet?
Zoogle chow.
Law? Best not to listen to him if you can help it. You'll only be encouraging him if you do.
Tell me that before I listen next time.
Still, Dohalim has a point. One wrong step and it's curtains.
Wouldn't it be great if we could all fly like Hootle? I bet even the refugees who didn't make it would have made it to Thistleum that way.
Until we magically sprout wings. Let's just watch where we're stepping instead, okay? Come on. Shion's waiting for us.
I sure hope nothing bad's happened to Shion.
Keep those thoughts to yourself, Rinwell. Everyone's anxious enough as it is.
Sorry. It's just... I can't seem to stop thinking about it. What do you think it is that Volron wanted with her anyway?
Going by what he said back on Almeidrea's ship, it would appear his primary target is Alphen. Though, it's likely he hasn't forgotten the blow he sustained at Shion's hand either. That might even be what ignited his interest.
Yeah, did you see the way he reacted? It was like he was enjoying every moment. Even his pain at Shion's thorns. Oh, that guy's just creepy.
Let's just hope he's keeping his perverted tendencies in check.
What? Law? Don't say things like that!
It's not like we weren't all thinking it.
That's still no reason to...
All right, you two. Now that's enough already. Alphen shouldn't have to grit his teeth while he listens to you.
Oh.
Sorry. So, any ideas what the deal was with that boatload of weirdos?
Your guess is as good as mine. They looked like Danan's slaves, but beyond that...
This city is grander and more beautiful than any other we've been to, yet...
I know what you mean. From the architecture right down to the people, something feels off somehow.
I've long maintained one can glean a lot about a ruler from their city. Considering how unsettling this place is, I'd say I wasn't far off the mark. Despite its surface layer of majesty, walking around inside, it feels more like a hollowed-out ruin.
I say we follow after that boat. If we're lucky, they might be in the mood to give us some answers.
All of those people in the boats. Do you think they had any idea what was going to happen to them?
They did a damn good job of concealing it if they did. You ask me, the only thing on their mind was following orders.
And I bet I can guess who from. Volron.
The only thing they knew was mindless oppression right to the very end. What kind of purpose is that? Living only to die at your master's whim?
Being a slave means having your whole life stolen from you. In the worst cases, quite literally. That bastard will get what's coming to him. I'll see to it he does.
Still, if it's not fruits of Helgen he's using, then how do you think Volron goes about controlling all of them?
They didn't look like they'd been threatened, but they didn't look like they understood anything either.
It could be something else, like a potion perhaps, but frankly I doubt it.
But that would mean they're following Volron out of choice? But why?
Nothing bolsters a despot's authority more than loyalty. Loyalty is advantageous for any ruler. For Volron, it means acolytes willing to give their lives for him. As for whether they did it willingly or not, I'd say they're merely puppets dancing to their master's tune.
But to the point where they'd give up their own life force? Is that even possible?
You just saw it for yourself. And think back to when I was your lord. If I'd asked you to sacrifice yourself for some cause, would you have?
Dohalim.
My apologies. My words got away from me again.
No, you're absolutely right. The only difference being that you never demanded such a thing. You wouldn't.
All lords are masters in the art of manipulating their subjects' hearts. Whether they use fear, torture, or various other methods, the outcome is the same.
Fear.
No wonder there's no remaining signs of a resistance force in this place.
No wonder we couldn't manage to find them. They've been holed up here all this time, hiding.
The remnants of Volron's forces. You think they were planning an ambush on Pelagian?
Possibly. Then again, knowing how blind their devotion is, maybe they were just waiting.
Waiting? For Volron, you mean?
Even though we already defeated him? But yes, I suppose you're right. For these guys, that would just be a technicality. They act more like worshippers than subjects. They're probably still in denial that he was overthrown in the first place.
Either that, or they were biding their time until the next crown contest. Either way, their allegiance is to their lord.
Who they're convinced and expectant will return. So in the meantime, they wait patiently in preparation for the day that he finally does. That's way more than just loyalty. It's no less than total subjugation.
Come to think of it, what happened to those 4 lights that fell from Lenegis along with the wedge?
All 4 of them scattered in different directions. It's anyone's guess where on Dana they might have landed.
I'm not entirely sure, but it seemed like those lights may have all been different elements of astral energy.
So even though they're using the wedge to siphon off energy from Dana, they're shooting it back down to Dana as well? Why?
I don't know. It all happened so suddenly.
Hopefully it's not a sign of some new threat we'll have to deal with.
But if that red woman has anything to do with the wedge, then what could that light...
It's weird, isn't it?
Oh?
The red woman. Shion and Dohalim said they'd never seen her before Pelagian.
Are you saying they're lying to us?
No, it's not that I think they're lying, just... There has to be some reason for it, right?
Well, one thing the two of them have in common is that they're both Renins.
Okay, you two. Put a pin in it for now. I know that we're in the dark about a lot, but for now, let's focus on getting through these mountains.
Yeah, of course.
This place definitely isn't easy to navigate. That's for sure.
I doubt this structure was conceived with the ease of people's movement in mind.
Yeah. We've been seeing nothing but Zoogle nests.
It's almost as if we're inside an incredibly immense spirit vessel of some sort.
A spirit vessel? If that's the case, then that would make Lenegis the master core that's receiving all the astral energy.
Hey, have you heard that voice again since we came in here?
Oh, so now you believe me.
I never said I didn't believe you.
The further in we go, the stronger the voice gets.
Is that a sign we're going the right way then?
Where's this voice coming from? Can you tell?
Yeah, kind of. I hear it inside me, but I feel like it's also coming from every direction around us. It's hard to describe. It's almost like it's surrounding me.
Surrounding, huh?
Considering astral energy is involved, it's not that unusual.
Right, but it's not scary or anything. Listening to it is really soothing.
If you think so, just promise you'll say something if the voice gets too clingy or anything.
I promise.
Everyone around here looks so much happier than they used to.
I'll say, it feels like an entirely different place. I suppose it's had time to adjust to its newfound freedom.
Zephyr would have been so happy to see this.
Yeah, he really would have. Especially if he knew Law was... Law? Something bothering you, Law?
Nah, I'll be fine. It's just, you know.
It still weighs on you, doesn't it? Running away back then.
I abandoned my home. Then when I finally come back, it's been liberated. What's important is that it's free. I get that, I do. I just... I should have been here. What do you know? Another big fire monster with nothing better to do than get in our way!
I wonder where the rest of those lights ended up landing. It looked like they were pretty scattered.
Well, whatever they're after, let's just hope none of them are anywhere near a city. An ambush on civilians is the last thing we need.
Well, no rest for the wicked, right? Though with 1 down and 3 to go, it sounds like our headache is just beginning.
I thought you liked the opportunity to flex your muscles.
Against those things? It's not like I have a death wish. Besides, we've already got our hands full saving the world. Dying stupidly won't be much help to the cause.
Yeah, I guess I can't argue with that logic. Sorry.
Just look at the size of that thing. Helganquil's technology certainly is impressive. And they don't seem to do things by halves either. In the past 300 years, no, even before that, just how many people, Renan or Danon, do you think have ever seen this?
Regarding the past 3 centuries at least, I'd say there's a good chance that we're the first. Also, while I get that it's impressive and all, I'm just amazed you're still standing around gawping at it at a time like this. Sometimes I wonder about your priorities.
I can understand where he's coming from. More to the point, does anyone know where it leads?
What do you mean where it leads? To the center of the planet, of course.
And that doesn't strike you as sounding just a little bit, oh, I don't know, far? There has to be a quicker way to get there, right?
Yeah. With all this technology at their fingertips, it seems pretty unlikely that they'd make that kind of journey on foot. There must be some kind of device somewhere. Let's see if we can figure out how to use it.
Borrow one of their contraptions? You're either brave or out of your mind.
If it works for them, there's no reason it wouldn't for us. Why make things harder for ourselves?
You know what he's like, Law. Once he gets an idea in his head, there's no talking him out of it.
Phew. That may not have been a fancy feast we just had, but I don't remember the last time I felt this full.
Do the Renans often not give you all enough to eat?
It's never enough. The Renans decide exactly how much we'll have and when we'll have it, and that's that. We do our best to get around it. Everyone has to grow their own food and such behind the Renans' backs in order to get by. Thinking about it now, I wonder if they've always kept it meager so we would never have the energy to try to resist what they've done to us.
Yeah. An empty stomach takes its toll on the body and the spirit after a while.
How does a Renan like you know what it's like?
I may be Renan, but they don't like me either. I could be squeaky clean and they still wouldn't give me anything.
Did your stomach just...
I didn't hear anything.
But you just ate. How are you already...
I said I didn't hear anything.
I still have some I haven't eaten yet. Do you want it?
Sure. Hey.
What?
If there's something you want to say, just come out and say it.
Huh?
I hate when I feel like people are laughing at me on the inside. Especially someone like you where I can't read your expression.
What? Why would I laugh at you? What are you talking about?
My outfit. As soon as you saw me in those ruins, you wanted to say something, didn't you?
Oh, it's not that. It's just...
Just what?
Nothing.
You're a truly awful person. You know that?
An awful... Hey, you're the one jumping to conclusions about what I think. You're not one to talk.
Then prove me wrong and tell me what you were really thinking.
It wasn't anything mean about you, I promise.
I don't believe that for a second.
And it doesn't matter what the hell I tell you. You'll always doubt me. This place looks damn near the same on the outside as it does on the inside. Nothing but fire and rocks. I figured a Renan castle would at least be a little more elegant. Instead, it seems this one was very dedicated to a theme.
Is that your idea of a joke? Don't lump the rest of us in with someone like Balsef.
Then why's his place look so grungy?
I guess you could say that's just the majority of what he's into. He likes fire and he likes rocks. He's an egotistical brute without a single shred of class. He even makes everyone call him by his stupid nickname, the Wild Beast. I feel sorry for everyone who's stuck having to work beneath him.
Huh. Interesting.
Why?
I used to think all Renans were like him. Terrible people obsessed with their own superiority, who are only out to make us miserable. But now, listening to you talk makes me realize that maybe there are some good ones too. Maybe there are a few of you that are different.
Listen, I don't know what kind of Renan you think I am, but I have no intention of getting friendly with you. We clear?
Crystal, believe me, I wasn't about to suggest we go hang out and have a drink after this, that's for sure.
Is that owl okay? It's been stiff as a board for a while now.
You're right. I wonder what's up with it. Come here, it's okay. I won't hurt you. Crap!
Huh? What happened?
I hate to say this, Rinwell, but I lost Hootle. I didn't mean to scare him, but he took off.
Hootle? He's right next to you.
He is? All I see is snow.
Dan and owls conceal themselves when they feel threatened. I guess he's still not quite used to being around other people yet.
That would explain it. I should have been more careful with him. Sorry.
It's fine. I'm the only human he's comfortable with. Come here, Hootle.
Damn, he was that close?
He's just a little wary of you. I think he gets that you're going to be with us for a while, though. Step in the right direction. If you call his name, he might eventually respond at least.
Got it. Thanks.
At least he's not sick or something.
Indeed. That's quite a relief.
All of creation across the heavens stems from the 6 essences. We lack only darkness while they are without light. Thus, to achieve perfection...
What are you muttering over there?
I was practicing a magic incantation.
An incantation? Is it anything like the spells that people use today?
Not quite. It takes time for me to finish my chants, so I'm practicing saying them quickly and accurately. You know, just in case. I've always tried my best never to use magic if I can avoid it up until now.
You said you and your family used to live in hiding, right? Because you were a mage. Where did all the other mages go? Sorry, I didn't realize it was such a sensitive topic.
It's okay.
So I get that you perform a certain type of astral arts, but why does your magic look so different from what Renans use? Is it a different source or something?
I'm not exactly an expert on how Renans cast magic, but we both manipulate astral energy to create it. We just channel that energy in different ways.
Like how you chant your spells, whereas they throw out those weird symbols?
Yeah, and just like how there are different ways to use a sword, there are elemental differences between us too. For example, light is only in Dana, and darkness is only in Rena.
Ah, alright, that makes sense. So let me ask, does that mean you can't use any dark magic at all? Or that they're just more attuned to it?
Basically not at all, since I don't have any dark energy inside my body. There might be an indirect way to tap into it, but I wouldn't know. I didn't learn everything that my family knew about magic, so it's hard for me to say for sure.
Fair enough. Thanks for teaching me all that. I really do appreciate it.
Sure thing.
Ah! Sorry, Shion. My foot slipped. Are you all right?
I should be asking you. What am I saying? Of course you're okay. It's easy to forget sometimes. If anybody else had been in your place, they'd be howling right about now.
Huh? Oh, right. You mean your thorns. Yeah, I'm, no worse for wear over here. Again, sorry for brushing you like that without warning.
Well, just be careful. Hey, Alphen?
Hmm?
Forget it. It's nothing. I'm sorry to bother you.
Oh, okay.
What's with those two?
'87! 88! 89! Oh, shoot!
What the? Is the enemy attacking?
Sorry about that. You're not hurt, are you?
Law? What on Dana are you doing?
What am I doing? Training, obviously. I found these nice and heavy rocks that I decided to strap onto my arms, but I guess I didn't tie them down good enough because they went flying.
So you were doing improvised weight training. You and your crazy ideas.
I can't help it. If I'm not training, it's easy for me to get anxious.
Well, that's fair. Actually, I remember seeing you practicing your forms for some time when we were camping the other day.
Yep. No amount of muscle will do you any good if you don't stay on top of your fighting forms. It always feels good when I know I'm still sharp.
Sounds to me like you have too much pent-up energy.
Don't train so hard that you wind up hurting yourself, Law. I promise you, you're already perfectly strong as it is.
No, I'm not. You never know what we'll run into out there. You can never go into a fight too prepared. And that's the truth. Besides, I won't rest until I know that I'm stronger than you, Alphen.
Oh, I see how it is. Well, I don't plan on letting you beat me. Maybe I'll add some weights to my sword and practice swinging it. That should help out.
Alphen, are you crazy?
You're right. This does make for decent training. Good call with the extra weight, Law.
Right? Now you get it?
Since we've already come this far, what do you say we have a little one-on-one with our rocks strapped on?
Hell yeah! I'm down for that! Just give me a second, I'll be all ready to roll. Okay, I'm all set. Let's do this! Take this!
I'm just getting started.
Our camp is completely wrecked!
Go. You two are cleaning it up.
Yes, Shion.
Interesting. All we ever got was a tattered blanket, a rock-hard bed, and well past its prime food.
What are you talking about?
What we got for our slave labor back in Calaglia. As you can tell, it wasn't much at all. Here, the Danans get the same basic amenities, but the quality is way better than anything we were given. Hell, apparently they even get time off to do what they want. If I'm being honest, I'm not sure how to take all this in.
Could it be that things were simply harsher in Calaglia compared to everywhere else?
It was the same in Cyslodia, too. Our buildings and clothing were equipped to handle the cold, but that was the only difference. Working the floodlights was a form of punishment, so we didn't really get rewarded for anything that we did.
Yeah, you could be assigned to fix food or make daily necessities too, but when all was said and done, most of that stuff went to the Renans. There wasn't much in the way of compensation for any of that, so I'd say that Cyslodia and Calaglia were both pretty awful.
Then Elda Menancia really is unusual.
To say the least. Hell, I might even go so far as to call it crazy. But the fact remains, Danans aren't free here.
Yeah, no matter how happy they look, they're still slaves.
I don't even know what to think right now. This is all way too much to deal with. It's giving me a headache. Something wrong? You look like you're deep in thought.
Not exactly. I was merely thinking about you two and your sense of etiquette.
Oh?
Etiquette?
Indeed. To be quite frank, I find your lack of manners to be nigh intolerable.
That's not being frank, that's being an... Forget it. Do we really need to talk about this now?
Yes. I find such impropriety on your parts to be deeply unsettling. It concerns me greatly.
What do you want us to do? We were slaves. We never got to learn how to be proper like you.
Yeah, what he said. Maybe you missed how we were just focused on surviving.
Perhaps, but Kisara here demonstrates that it's quite possible for a Denon to learn proper manners.
That's because I was given the opportunity to learn. Moreover, my duties as a guardsman required it. Not every realm is like Menencia, as you well know.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to hold us to some other city standards.
Exactly. You've got to remember what it's been like for us living under the Rena elsewhere.
I will concede that you do indeed make a valid point. It would appear, for all my espousing the virtues of equality between our peoples, I was still looking down on the two of you.
You don't need to beat yourself up. I wasn't that offended by what you said, man.
Nevertheless, I shall mind my words from here on out. Having said that, I do believe you two would still benefit from learning the basics of proper society. I would be more than happy to teach you both when we camp out, if you like.
Yeah, no, I'll pass. Acting all prim and proper isn't really my style.
If you say so. How about you, Law? Would you like to learn? Although I suppose my first task is to reform your attitude toward the idea of good etiquette.
You're not gonna let this go, are you?
How are you holding up after that last fight? You're not too hurt, are you?
I'm fine, really. See for yourself.
If things get too tough out there, go ahead and fall back. I can take a beating if I need to.
I'm not here just to stand around and have everyone protect me.
I get that, but there's nothing wrong with admitting you have weaknesses too.
Do I look like I'm just trying to put on a brave face to you?
I can't feel pain. But you still can, can't you?
Look, I appreciate you're trying to look out for me, but even you go down in fights from time to time. Please, stop trying to babysit me. It's getting old.
It's not that. I just...
I always hear you muttering to yourself whenever we're in battle. So, just what are you saying?
Why do you want to know? Does it bother you or something?
Not really. It's just the way you talk is sometimes kind of creepy. So I was wondering if you vent your frustration through your magic. Are you yelling, "You stupid jerk," or something like that to pump yourself up?
What? No, that's not what's happening during my incantations. I'm just focused, so I match my tone to fit the mood of whatever I'm trying to invoke.
Invoke?
How do I put it? Basically, the elemental astral energy behind each art, I guess.
Astral energy? Hold on, are you saying you can talk to astral energy?
Not exactly. But if I put emotion into what I say, it's easier for me to properly cast my arts. That makes sense?
Kind of. Okay, so if you can talk to astral energy, then you can ask it to, like, predict the weather or find secret treasure?
Wait, you don't really think that, do you?
Or you can ask it to send down lightning to where there's bad guys lurking and...
May lightning condemn those who bear false! Thunderblade!
What are you doing? You almost fried me with that!
I just asked the astral energy to send down lightning where there were annoying boys.
Mind if I join you, Law?
See you guys tomorrow. You guys ready to hit the road? I know I am.